All right, everybody, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Yes, we made it. Always between 2 and 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. So I just want to go ahead and let y'all know for the Let's Just Chat, okay? So, um, yeah, let's let those notifications go out. And in the meantime, as always, do what we normally do. But I'm going to cover some more about the tricks of the enemy. And I want y'all to drop some of your insight also in the comments. Okay, the live chat and comments on the replay. I want y'all to add to this list because this is how iron sharpens iron in our growing community of spiritual warriors for Christ at Consulting for Heightened Awareness. And so just know that we're gonna we're going to be bringing this stuff to you because there's so many tricks of the enemy out there in the matrix that it's like, okay, because remember something, you know, the enemy lives in the past, so we want to keep as many people there with him as possible, right? Okay, and so the evildoer, the narcissist, those are the only ones that the devil is going to be able to, I guess you could say, keep with him in the past. Right, chosen ones we gotta go forward. Hey, chosen one, purpose, right? Turn that pain into purpose. That's exactly what we do. So while those notifications are going out, I'm going to do our usual check. And for anybody who is waiting on a response to a question or comment across social media, thank you for your patience. I just became aware that there were some comments over on Pinterest that I did not get the notification for. You got to remember something. The previous environments I've been in, oh yeah, there was a lot of narcissism, a lot of resistance. So thank you all for your patience because I'm now finally able to start getting some of those. Okay. Yes. Yeah. So some of those. All right. There we go. All right. Sound check complete. All of that. Come on in. Come on in. Let's get the formalities out of the way. All right. Yes. The formalities. Let's get them out of the way. I am Michelle Dickey, your host for CHA's Let's Just Chat show, streaming on the YouTube channel Narcissism and Cognitive Dissonance, where trauma healing and spiritual growth are front and center. Trauma healing and spiritual growth occur with God's wisdom, basic scientific facts, tried and true techniques, and more here and at CHAAcademyBTBW.com. The link to the Academy is in the video description below for quicker access. Some of you may need to copy and paste the link to view what CHAAcademyBTBW.com offers to help you level up your trauma healing and spiritual growth. All right, so let's dive into it, everybody. All right, thank you to all who understand that I've got to give that to the algorithm and to those who don't know about it or need the reminder, okay? Because we got more coming at that academy for y'all. We sure do. We've got a lot more coming. Yeah, I had to ask God. I was like, boy, this vision board is getting bigger and bigger. And I said, okay, all right, how are we going to do this? He was like, focus on one thing at a time. So like when I woke up today, he woke me up. I thanked him for another day. Armor up. That's right. Put on that armor of God. Yes. Okay. And we get some breakfast, right? And then we get our workout in. And then we're like, okay, now let's seek ye first that kingdom of God, right? Always. And so I was like, yesterday he had me, for those who haven't seen it yet, the website, yes, okay, we have decluttered. That's right. And so I highly encourage y'all to check that out. Yep, we've updated the slideshow, new photos, and then updated wording that matches everything that's going on with Consulting for Heightened Awareness. Everything that y'all hear me talk about, you know, seeking truth for clarity, that kind of stuff. Okay. And then trauma healing and spiritual growth. Yeah, right there in the slideshow now. We have updated and fine-tuned and tweaked. Okay. It went under construction. We decluttered. So it's very simple now. I mean, it was simple before, but we wanted to simplify it even more to make it more in alignment, right? It needs to come into better alignment. So that is in the video description below as well. So whenever you get the opportunity to go and explore how we have updated with new photos, except for the profile picture, but new photos, and just the information is a lot more accurate. Not that the other information wasn't, it's just now as things have unfolded, and we continue to go forward, right? We're not living in the past. God said, I need you to, I was just going to do one section yesterday of what I had in mind, one thing at a time. And he was like, he had me heavy focused on that yesterday. Yeah. So you can view that, and the navigation menu has been decluttered. Some things have been combined, and things like that. And then at the bottom, I've updated the email sign up for the newsletter. I've updated that as well in the footer. So yeah, fine tuning and tweaking. And so thank you for your patience and everything like that. But we don't live in the past, right? So again, you all, if you think of something that I don't cover, okay, as far as a trick of the enemy to try to keep us living in the past, because what does God tell us in Luke? Yes, chapter 9, verse 62, so important. We're huge on this, because you're not going to get in your purpose and be living in the past. It's not going to work that way, right? It cannot be that way. Says that no man who putteth his hand to the plow and looketh back is fit for the kingdom of God. And that looking back means living in the past. It has nothing to do with reflection, y'all. We've got to do that. Reflection is part of the inner work that we have to do for the trauma healing, okay? But we don't stay there. It's like, okay, I've got to bring this to our remembrance. Okay, get the lesson, get the reminder, and keep going. That's how chosen ones roll. That's right. So we don't allow ourselves to dwell there. So there's a lot of little tricks. And I know one of them happened to be where the Jezebel was trying to tell me something about me when I was still a toddler. And I'm sitting here going, matters now, because it doesn't. That's the thing. But yeah, okay, the evildoers who live in the past, right? The enemy, the devil, has an obsession with babies. Okay, that's it. Has an obsession with them. Well, because he's trying to get possession of them. I mean, seriously. So yeah, we're still working on that research. So thank you for your patience, fellow warriors. As far as where demonic possession begins, we're going to get to that at some point. We're still unpacking that bag, if you will, as far as during personality development and things like that. So I have to do some digging and go to some of my, I guess you could say, my college textbooks that I have, the ones that I decided to keep, and see if I can't find some additional information about that, because I don't know yet. I think that plays a role, but what role, we're not sure about yet. So thank you for your patience, but we are going to come back to that. Right? But these are tricks of the enemy to keep people living in the past. So you got somebody you've identified as an evildoer, and so they start talking about things like, you're a grown adult now, right? Remember, narcissists don't want to see us as grown adults, especially if they are a parent or a caregiver. They will always see us as a child. Remember this. Think about it out there, right? In the snail crawling matrix that appears to move faster than it does, right? Okay, so out there, it's all very childlike. Everything is very childlike inside the matrix. So, of course, the enemy has people treating grown adults as children. Remember, fellow warrior, I was spot on about this one, that is another subtle form of abuse, treating grown adults as children. See, because this is simple psychology 101. that it's no wonder they're going to continue to behave as such while appearing adult-like, because they are, in the physical, they're a grown adult, but mentally, they're not. Okay? They have been dumbed down by the news media. They've been dumbed down. Oh, there's articles all about that. They've been dumbed down by the Matrix. Bottom line. And then God turned them over to a reprobate mind for not retaining him in their knowledge. So reprobate mind, man, they done. Okay? They're done. So they got dumbed down. Now they have skills and knowledge for whatever area of expertise they had to get for day-to-day functioning and whatnot, and working and things like that. So they did get that. That's as far as it goes with them. Right? The evildoers. But they live in the past. So they're going to bring up things from our past. Okay, aside from the mistake, that's to guilt trip, right? Okay, that is to guilt trip. Or try to. We're talking about just in general. So talking about things that we used to do. See, this is another reason why we learn to get rid of photographs from the past. Seriously. We get rid of photographs from the past, because that is another way. I mean, sitting around, I know there's going to be a harsh truth for some of y'all, but it needs to be said. God tells me, hey, you know what? The enemy tricks everybody into having all these family photographs, put them into an album, and so one day, usually around the pay, they all sit around and pull out the album and they start reminiscing, right? Oh, I remember those days. Oh, you remember when you did this? Or you remember you did that? Oh, remember that one? I remember that outfit? That's living in the past. That is living in the past. We're not to do that. So, there you go. All right? And I mean, that is one of many tricks of the enemy. Another one, on the societal level now. Throwback Thursday. Oh, yeah, why do you want to keep doing that? Just keep bringing something from the past back. That's a trick of the enemy. Keep people living in the past. Oh, gosh. I remember when that first came out, yeah, it seemed kind of fun, when we didn't know yet. Right? Never forget, God hadn't awakened us yet when we jumped on that train for a little bit. Like, oh, hey, that's pretty cool. And then we kind of outgrew it, right? Yeah, chosen one, we outgrow these things. And then we come to the knowledge of, because the enemy to keep people living in the past. Yeah, throw back anything, really? And then what about all these little celebration where everybody's like, oh, we're going to have an 80s party living in the past. That's right. Or we're going to go and now, as far as going to classic car shows, the jury's out on that one. That is a hobby, okay? As long as those who are in that field, and they like to, restore old cars, paint them classic. Okay, my biological dad does that. So it's not a big deal as long as you're not doing it living in the past. If you're doing it as a hobby for the glory of God, for the kingdom of God, fine. Okay, because listen, you can appreciate the art because that's talent. But as long as you're not doing it with the mentality of actually being in the 50s and 60s, all right? As long as your mind is not back there in the 50s and 60s, okay? There you go. That's just an example. It's all about that mindset. Never forget, spiritual battle for the mind, okay? So there are things that are considered classics and, how do you say that? Nostalgia or whatever? Okay. but you're mentally not living there. All right, so let me be clear here. I'm just giving y'all some general things. But the Throwback Thursday, no. Throwing an 80s party where everybody's dressing up like they used to in the 80s. And then how about the reoccurring back in style over and over again, right? Oh, them bell bottoms, they back in style. I remember those from the past. But see, there's another reason for that. Is that nothing wrong with it, y'all. It's just another example. Again, mental stuff, okay? Where's that mind at? But because there's nothing new under the sun, right? So stuff has to be recycled like that for clothing, right? You can only come up with so many styles for clothing, can you? Yeah. It really depends. But I know creativity, it can go on forever. But at some point, for a pair of jeans, well, the design ideas and stuff are going to run out at some point. So they got to bring them suckers back. Now they might change like the logo or the brand, depending on who it is that designed it and branded it, what have you. But the concept of it being a bell bottom, that's from the past. So there you go. That's just another one. Okay. So let's see if you've got anything else to add, because I got more, more tricks of the enemy to keep people living in the past. Yep. Think the indoctrination of education and poor quality plays a role in keeping people in the remedial state. The best days of our lives is living in the past. Oh, that's a good one. Yes. Okay, because right, because they get dumbed down, right? All of the we learned that system, right, is designed just to turn people into obedient workers and stuff out here, right? Nothing wrong with that, y'all. If you we all, okay, got to work, pay bills and things like that. It's just we now know that that's what the system was designed to do. It wasn't really designed to teach us anything more than just what we needed, right? Yeah. And so it plays a role in keeping people in that remedial state, living in the past. Because everything out there inside the matrix, right, it's a repetitive cycle. So, yeah, when you think about it, elementary school, high school, bus. And then, of course, don't forget how similar to the prison system it is. So you do that, and you start to witness these things. You can observe just how, not just childlike, but how it is just nothing more than a representation of the past at some point, somewhere in the past. Okay? So you'll see that. And it just really is something else. And I'm going to tell you that a lot of these, let's just say, if you are new to learning something about history, I want y'all to be very careful with that. Because there's something else that we learn in God's reality about that world stage and from the rabbit hole. Something else we learn is that much of our history is nothing but lies. It's made up. There's a lot of that stuff that never happened. This is another reason why we have to purge that subconscious. Forget about that. We have to learn what's more important in God's wisdom. Because that's where your truth is. Within. And so it does. So the best days of their life happen to be in the past. You know, that's pretty sad when you think about it. Because I'm here to tell y'all, I got to remind somebody of this, that's the spiritual awakening. Y'all, that is when life begins. I remember when God told me that, I was like, oh yeah. This is when life truly begins, when we get into the spiritual awakening. And then God awakens us, right? Yeah. And then God does that final trumpet call, like, whoa, I see what we're in. We're battling humans. We're battling a spiritual battle, between good and evil. It's like, okay, all right, we get it now. And God starts to help us get through all of that. And we start to get more clarity, right? That's that heightened awareness. So we start to see, okay, our entire lives. So that's a very good point. Thank you for sharing that one, because there are, man, as if those evildoers, they don't know how to get past high school, right? Yeah, they believe it's their limited belief system. Of course, they've been brainwashed into believing that high school was the best days of their lives. That's what they believe. And that's pretty negative. There's no way. I cannot do it, y'all. I cannot. Oh my goodness, in my mind, there's no way I can think that those were the best days. Because for chosen one, how can we do that? Our best days are now going forward, because we're becoming aware. Get that heightened awareness now. We understand why we got picked on, mocked, made fun of. And you want to tell me that's why we don't have that mindset? Because it was not the best days of our lives. Come on now, gotta be honest. Right? All that abuse, being bullied. There's no way we can consider that the best days of our life. No, it's now going forward. It's when God awakened us and we start to, okay, we understand what's going on. And then we get into our purpose. Yeah. And for many of us, we published that first book. It's like, yeah, finally. So, yeah, our best days are just beginning. There's your positive thinking right there. So, yeah, we're not going to live in the past, but they do. That's where they believe the best days were. Because they don't like adulting. Yeah, they don't want to grow up. But they're forced to have to do grown-up things, like pay bills, go to work, things like that. Because while in high school, many of them didn't have to work. Chosen ones, a lot of us ended up getting a job while we were still in high school, didn't we? Show of hands here. I got a work permit when I was 15. Start waiting tables because my parents separated, and the female, before I knew what was up. I mean, I was too young at the time. But yeah, at 15, I start waiting tables. You know why? She went back to college. She wasn't working. She went back to college. That's fine. But I needed clothes. I was 15. I'm still growing. So I had to go to work so I could get some clothes. Clothe myself. Okay? So y'all are not alone. And so when we bring things like that to you all, that's not living in the past. That is to inspire. See, God says, now, if I give you something from the past to share with the nation, right? Our community, okay, the growing community of spiritual warriors for Christ, God says, I give you that as inspiration and to let y'all know that you're not alone. But many of you that had to do the same thing, that gives you a little bit more insight where we're coming from. And so, yeah, keep people living in the past, the school days. Oh my gosh, yeah. Graduation reunions. That's another way the enemy tricks people into living in the past. Yeah, I have not been to one. Not since graduating high school. I have not been to a high school reunion ever. And I don't. We're not going. They probably couldn't find me anyway. I don't know. care. I don't care. I'm not going. Why? That's another trick of the enemy to keep people living in the past. Oh, let's go and relive the good old times, right? No. So, right? Okay, develop our intellect, right? We don't want to allow, right? Right. Because a lot of the stuff that is in the educational system, not everything, but a lot of it, yeah, it definitely to keep people dumbed down. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, because one thing I have learned, not all of them do this, but some colleges do. It depends on the curriculum. And I remember, okay, why am I taking a class that I've already taken, but it's operating under a different title? Yeah, it's operating under a different title. So it's like it's recycled material with a different title, but I recognized a lot of the material. So I was like, I've already taken a course like this at least a couple of times before. But then also, just to give y'all something to put in perspective, there was a basic introduction to criminal justice book. Okay, so we go through it. It got a whole section about juvenile delinquency and things like that. I'm like, okay. So then I got to take a class all about juvenile delinquency, but it was just the same information that was in that other book, recycled, well, a whole new class. And I was like, okay, why am I doing this? But it was required. You see that? Right. I saw the redundancy, but not everybody does. And chosen one, we're not a fan of that. We're like, okay, look, because we get it the first time, usually, right? So we're learning about a new subject matter. Okay, all right, oh, we got it. But then we are forced to take another class about the exact same thing all over again. Like, what did we just do? What? So basically, how to get through that season for anyone who may be there. Here's what I did when I had to take the actual juvenile delinquency course. I skimmed through everything because I remembered from the other introduction course, I remembered the information. So it's not like I had to reread everything over and over and over again. I read the assignment, question, instructions, what have you. And I was like, okay, I remember the information. I skimmed through, make sure we're on the right page. Okay, we are. And then just cite that book. Yeah, because the information is the same. I just had to cite that actual book for that class. Anywho, that's right. Peer pressure, that'll do it. Yep, that will definitely do it. Trick of living in the past. I know some people aren't going to like to hear these truths, but somebody got to talk about it. These are tricks of the enemy to keep people living in the past. Because he knows you live in the past, you're not going to be fit for the kingdom of God. Because God's always doing a new thing. Let that sink in. So it's like, why does he tell us that if we're living in the past, we're not fit for the kingdom? Well, because what's in the kingdom of God? Our creativity, right? Our inheritances. Because God forgives us. We ask him for forgiveness. He forgives us for things and remembers them no more. Remembers them no more. He'll bring things back to our remembrance as lessons, reminders. You don't want to get yourself right. As lessons and reminders that you don't want to get yourself involved with something that you know. Okay, yes, and I saw that. Remember, whenever the Wi-Fi goes like that, I am going to repeat what I just said before it blinked out, okay? Because I don't know. I've learned from catching some of the replays where it would do that half the message or maybe a quarter of the message would get cut off, which is the whole reason why the enemy messes with the Wi-Fi. So, yeah, the peer pressure, yep, to stay connected to old social ties rather than fully fledging, being a mature, independent adult. There you go. Yeah, because not only that, why you go to these things, right? From the past, right? Yeah, try to keep everybody not only just living in the past, but because what do we know about narcissists? They're extremely nosy. Oh, I got to go because I haven't seen Miss P in like 20 years. I'll see what she's up to. Why? If Miss P didn't reach out to you to say hi or check on you to see how you're doing in 20 years, why does it matter? Oh, but see, to a narcissist, because they don't have a life, it's very boring for them. So there you go. Yep, there you go. The rose-tinted lenses of the past. I like it. There you go. That's it right there. Yeah, because remember, when you get to God's reality, he's like, give me those rose-tinted lenses. And he's knocking them off. And you are not getting them back. It's not going to happen. And so the spiritual, yep. Yes, narcissists who are parents are extremely guilty of not allowing their children to grow up. See, that's why. That's the trick of the enemy, to keep them living in the past. They continue to view us as children. They will not, they know that we're adults. It's like, duh. They know that we've grown up. And they know that we are coming into, right? They can see whenever we start to make changes for the better. They can see it, but they don't want to accept it because their mind is so stuck in the past. Remember, spiritual battle for the mind. Okay, the kingdom of God is in the subconscious mind where our creativity is. So, yeah, you're not going to be fit for that if you're mentally living the past. That's why they end up becoming those obedient robots for the Matrix, because they live in the past. And living in the past, but also living in fear. Right? Because living in fear is also living in the past. Oh, big one right there. Ding, 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 ding. Okay. And so they stay there, but they're going to continue to view us. Okay. If we are their child, they're going to continue to view us as a child. They will not let go. Yeah. Narcissists, they will not let go of the old version of us. And then they are going to reminisce and live in the moments of when we were a baby or a toddler, or, before we became an adult and got out on our own. They like to hang on to those memories. You know why? It's when they had the most illusion of power and control over us. Never forget that, you all. That narcissists who have children do so for parental control. They don't do so out of genuine love and compassion, because they don't have that. They have what the world depicts as love and compassion in a Hallmark movie. And it's so fake. We start to see it. The scapegoat, chosen ones are scapegoat of the family, because we start to see their true colors and what's really going on. Because God awakens them so that we can see them. And so that is an excellent, excellent point right there, is that the narcissist to a parent will not allow children to grow up. So they're going to play along with the enemy to keep them living in the past. So yes, hey. Yes, you did, Michael. Finally catching another live while it's actually live. Welcome. Yes. There you go. Not alone. Absolutely. So see, fellow warrior, Saturday job and paper round to start earning as a teenager. See, we all, chosen ones, all, gosh, yeah. We all, it's not that we were forced to, it's just that it was necessary. And there's no regrets. No, we learned some skill sets that God needed us to have for our purpose later in life. That's another good one. Another trick of the enemy that keeps people living in the past. Y'all, that's what I'm saying. You can think of some that I have not covered yet, because we're covering things. Like I covered Throwback Thursday, and then we talked about high school reunion, things like that, tricks of the enemy to keep people living in the past. And so that's another good one. Historic reenactors and reenactment. That is also, but you want to remember something about history. What do we learn? Down the rabbit hole. And those of you who never had to go down the rabbit hole, but you know this, okay, you know what I'm talking about. That a lot of the history, we have to forget about it. A lot of the garbage that we've been taught in that narcissistic system. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. That narcissistic system is designed to try and indoctrinate as many people as they can into just being obedient to the matrix for the rest of their life and dependent on man rather than become dependent on God. So we know what that's all about. So a lot of history is not even true. However, for those who actually believe that it's all true, but yeah, exactly. The continuous dressing up in costumes and as historic reenactment. That's another trick of the enemy to keep people living in the past. Absolutely, 100%. Yep. I don't know about that. Watching the same movie over and over again from the past. Okay, so how many of you have watched some of our videos on this channel several times? Really got to be careful with that one. And then there are people out here, and if we're listen, some of us do have a favorite movie. So I don't know. I would think it depends on the mentality behind it. That's where that comes in. Remember, everything is all about the mentality behind things. And so I know that many of y'all have caught some of our videos and watched them several times to go back and get the note, to get the point, to get the reminders. Okay? I do know that. And that's fine. That's what these are here for, to help you all understand better what's going on. And so let's be clear with the whole movie aspect, because I don't want anybody to take this out of context or get it twisted. If you got a favorite movie that you can relate to, okay? For example, even though I don't have any physical copies of movies anymore because, well, hello, we are in the digital era, right? So if I want to watch this movie again, because many of us chosen ones can relate to it. If you've not seen it, okay, it is called Never Been Kissed. And it stars in there, I forget the guy's name, but Drew Barrymore. And I'm going to tell y'all, that movie, yeah, chosen ones being picked on, made fun of, laughed at. So that's one of a favorite. And I know that if I wanted to watch it, that I could go to Apple TV and I might have to my child just alrighty then. I guess it just wasn't gonna stay where I was testing out a towel rack thingy. I guess that just not gonna work. Oh well, it's all good. I was like, what is that? Oh, I caught it out of my peripheral moving, and I was like, what? Oh, okay. Anyhow, but yeah, Never Been Kissed. That's the name of the movie, and some of y'all might know. You may have seen it. And I mean, I watched it when I had the DVD. I watched it many times because it resonates, and it has such a beautiful ending too. I mean, I know it's all made believe and make believe and stuff like that, but it's just it resonates because yes, our lives also had a beautiful ending, everlasting with Christ, with the Godhead, right? Okay, so that movie just resonates with those of us that went through that kind of bullying and being picked on and things like that, okay? So we want to be careful. It's like, what's the mindset? It's like, I would not watch it again living in the past. I watch it again because it's a heartfelt. You know what I'm saying? It's not living in the past, but you know that the outcome is going to be a beautiful outcome. Despite the principles behind her going undercover as an adult reporter for a newspaper, okay, posing as a student, and then, right, student teacher, you have the ethical issue there, but nonetheless, she eventually had to come out with the truth. And she does it in such a way that captures even our hearts. So you want to keep that in mind. I don't think there's anything wrong with if it's a movie that you can relate to, if you're not living in the past, because you know that happened to you, right? Like I know it happened to me, it happened to many of us. But we are not living there. You know what I'm saying? We're not mentally living there. So maybe we just are in the mood for some heartwarming. Who knows? Okay, chosen one, it's okay. Now, if they are watching that particular movie and mentally living in the past, that's different. So we won't really know that. I can tell you that narcissists, evildoers, if they're watching particular movies over and over and over again, it is because they're living in the past. But it's also the type of movie that they're going to watch over and over again. You have to think about that too. See, a lot of them like to watch exactly movies, classics like Roadhouse and things like that, because that feeds their demon spirits who are needing to be fed pain and suffering. So what do you get in those types of movies, right? Yeah, that bar fights and stuff like that, right? And so there'll be some little bit of pain and suffering. And so that's why they're watching it over and over and over again, because their demon spirits feed on that stuff. Whereas Chosen One, even though those are classic movies, good movies, what have you, I tend to gravitate towards the types like I talked about. If I'm going to watch it again for like maybe the 9th time, it would be something like Never Been Kissed. So there you go. There's your difference. Yes. And thank you for verifying that a lot of our history is bogus. Yes, it sure is. Okay. And then, right, being invalidated at school. Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you haven't seen Never Been Kissed, I highly encourage y'all, if you get a moment, take a peek. It's a good movie. It is. I'm not going to lie. But even though you know it's a movie and it's made up, the stuff that occurs to her also happened to us. Many of us. So, discernment, and don't let it keep you dwelling there. That's the thing. So I've got another one for you all that is a big trick of the enemy, and watch out for this on social media, because you got to remember something. These social media platforms are also engaging in the game of narcissism. Okay? I noticed it when I was looking at my YouTube studio stuff, and I would remember our practice, if you will, the ministry is under a bit of construction. The website, for those who have come in a little bit later, right? For those who have come in a little bit later, the website, it has been revamped. Okay, we have decluttered. And so the mission statement and then learning how to stop living in fear, those two that were on the homepage are now on separate pages, and the link, okay, to each one is inside the section for simplifying the complex. So you'll go down, you'll see some paragraphs there now, and then you'll view mission statement, and then the learning how to not live in fear, so you can get reconnected in mind, body, and spirit. They're separate pages, not on the home page, but it'll take you. So needed to clean it up, and there's new pictures. The slideshow is all revamped. Says a lot of the same stuff, but it's more in line with what you hear me teach and preach Okay, there you go. So you can check that out at your earliest convenience. And it's just the thing. So I noticed it, right? Because what do we know about the Matrix? That it wants to continue to pass things off that are old as new. Because let me tell y'all something. Just a couple of days ago, the 5 o'clock drop on this YouTube channel, just a couple of days. It's already 2 days now, 2 days old. They're still claiming it to be new. As far as I'm concerned, something is only new when it drops, or when it's the first time I come across it. It's new to me. But after that, it's new to me when I come across it for the first time. But then after that, it's not new anymore. Let that sink in, okay? That's why we're careful about, we've learned to be more careful about new updates. Okay, how about just say update? Because once somebody goes over there and sees it for the first time, it's new for that moment. But then after that, it's not new anymore. Okay? So we want to be careful. But the Matrix does that. And so these social media platforms often will do things like that. All right? And that's not a trick of the enemy to keep people living in the past and trying to fight. I'm just giving y'all another thing to watch out for so that you don't get tricked. Okay? But what social media does, especially on Facebook, and I see TikTok doing this now too. I get an email from TikTok that says, "Hey, Michelle, a year ago today, delete. I don't care." You know what I'm saying? That's the trick of the enemy to keep people looking back, living in the past. Facebook, share a memory from 2022. Or they'll send you a thing, hey, create this big old post or whatever, or they'll put together this, what is it? Yeah, they'll put together like a album for you, right? They'll pick some pictures from the previous year and on the anniversary date, right? Remember, anniversaries are a trick to keep people living in the past. So let's say January 9th. Of 2022, right? And then you come to January 9th of 2023, and one of the social platforms has put together some photo collage for you and said, here's what Facebook has put together for you to celebrate, right? Or look at your memories from 2022. So it put together a bunch of pictures for you, right? Gotta watch out for that stuff. Trick people into living in the past. Yes, that's another good one, Chris. We'll get to that here in just a second. And so it's like the end of year review or spotlight. Getting a lot of that on the social media platform. Like I go in to post, update, work on the project, right? The construction. Okay. And I'm looking at it and I see the announcement, share your end of year review. Or here is your end of year review. Why? All right. And then also, this is a big one. Another trick of the enemy to keep people living in the past. And I see this a lot on Facebook as well. A year ago today, I don't even listen to that stuff. I see it and I'm like, I don't care. God does not care. What are we doing in the here and now? Go forward. Right? That's what we got to do. Putting our hand to the plow. And stay back there. Now, I'm not saying that God doesn't bring good memories to our remembrance. He does that because he wants us to remember that our entire life was not all bad. So, for example, to help y'all put it in perspective, when I'm going through, okay, because what he has me doing with our videos is not living in the past. God said, I need you to revamp these things. Got to bring them. Remember, the last shall be first, and the first shall be last. Okay, well, he has me revamping. He said, I want you to get all of your 2021 videos in order. God, and I'm like, okay, but I'm not dwelling on them because he told me I need to use those topics to promote them. See, if it still serves a purpose in the kingdom of God today, you're not living in the past, but I will tell you that, the warm, fuzzy feeling that God was reminding me of when I would see some of them, because I go in and then I got to go to the comment section of the actual video and pin the comment that he's telling me to pin. And so I get to see, it's like he's giving me a glimpse of things that, it's like, okay. And I had to ask him, I was like, why do I have that warm fuzzy when I see that? And he said, because, honey child, that was, part of my journey of getting closer to him, and how we were just, in the car, right? In the car, and we had gotten into not a comfort zone, but into a structure of sorts, if you will. And we figured out things along the way, how to make this work, how to make that work. And so it's just kind of a good memory because we learned a lot. And then we went through the experimentation phase with editing and all of that. And so those are good memories. There's nothing wrong with God reminding us of those, but we just don't stay there. We're like, hey, you know what? It kind of is a way that God shows us our progress because we don't always see it. I mean, I know I've come a long way since we started, but sometimes we just don't know how far. Sometimes we just don't realize it. So God wants us to see it. And so he'll do that. He's like, I see progress. I want you to see how far you've come, because that way I can tell y'all. That's why I have said that for your encouragement and inspiration, I highly encourage you to check some of those early videos and then come back and catch one of the newer ones. You'll see how God hastens things on his time, but it's not living in the past. It's true. It's things that God had put in position to use, right? YouTube Shorts switched their policy, so you can't put, you can, but it won't be clickable in the YouTube short description. Okay, they took that out. Something to do with a bunch of spammers. I get it. But what we can do is we can include a link to a longer form video. And so when I learned about that from one of the YouTube how-to dudes, I went, okay, so that means we can use, I got it, all right, so just start kind of like give a little message and then lead them to the longer video. So we started doing that, and then it wasn't even a week or two later that YouTube put out the suggestion for doing that with shorts. I was like, oh, we're already doing it. So anyhow, that's for whoever is maybe even thinking of starting a YouTube channel and you want to do some short, just remember that if you've got longer form content, you can use YouTube Short to actually, come back with that message, a topic, a quick message, and then you can learn more by viewing the video. Y'all have heard them. If you hadn't, you will. Okay? It's just another way of marketing. And so tap into it. God said tap into that. So that's what he's got us doing. Okay? But we're not living there. That's the point. Is that mentally we're not living there. It's just he's showing me, hey, you know what? You learned a lot. You're still learning. You've come a long way. But it was those moments that I was able to experience the majority of peace because I was still in a toxic environment at the time. And so I wasn't having to escape, but the car was my office for that season. And so because of that, it was very intimate. I was one-on-one with y'all, Still am. It's just we don't have to do it in the car like we used to. I'm not saying we won't be in the car at some point down the road. Who knows? But just to let y'all know, that's what we're doing. But another trick of the enemy that keeps people living in the past, absolutely holding grudges. Yep. Because see, that is what the narcissists do. They hold grudges. Okay? And we're not to do that, right? See, that thing that God tells us we need to do is what? Forgive. Can't forgive if you're holding grudges, right? Okay, well, you're holding grudges about what? Something that happened 10 years ago? Yeah, that's living in the past. But also a trick of the enemy to keep them unthankful and unforgiving. Okay? That's right. So that's another good catch. Well, oh, only Chris. Oh, that's another good one. This is why we walk away from politics. That's why we're done. That's the game of narcissism on the world stage. We walked away. We're done. We quit playing that game. Yeah, holding on to an ideal of the country in the past. Yeah, talk about making something great again. Right, okay. Yep, that trick of the enemy. Keep people living in the past. And not only that, trauma bonded to the world. Trauma bonded to one side or the other, right? Trauma bonded to whoever's giving out that message, right? See, they don't even realize it. See, I'm going to go ahead and admit with y'all, I didn't realize that what was going on in the very beginning either. It was only, oh my goodness, it was only after the scare-demic that I started to see more, oh, hold on a second. I see what's going on here. You know how they were trying to pass off the Great Awakening as the spiritual awakening? I said, no. Hold up a second. No, see, they were passing off the Great Awakening. That went around in the 50s already, too, by the way. They were just recycling it, okay, and tricked a lot of those supporters into thinking they actually were going through the spiritual awakening. Nope, that's right, using God's word as a movie script on the world stage. Yep, trying to pass themselves off as a true believer when they're just an actor. And I don't even know if it is, I don't know. We never know which actor it could be wearing a silicone mask. We have no idea. But yes, that is another trick of the enemy to keep people living in the past. And also to keep people believing that some man is going to come save them. Some woman going to come save them. That's Jesus' job only. Only Jesus saves. And so we got to get up off our bums and, yeah, we got to walk that walk. I know some of y'all are in some sticky situations just right now. And so we are going to continue praying always for you all. And we know that you will make it through. Okay? Yes, you will. I know it doesn't feel like it sometimes, but you will. And for those of us who have ever had to go and get a protective order and things like that, we get it. Okay? We get it. It is what it is. So there are some times that we'll have to utilize the resources of the world. They're there. And so if we need to use them, it is what it is. Because the narcissist, right, because they conform to this world, so we got to use, right. I know. It's crazy. But That is another trick of the enemy to keep people living in the past, is through that game of narcissism called politics. All part of the game of narcissism. And so we quit playing. We're done. When you see it for what it is, God said, hey, when we see the same narcissistic behavior with abuse being displayed with that, how can you're not going to unsee it? You're not. And so it's all about that instillment of high pride. Remember what God says about that, right? Pride going before destruction and haughty spirit before a fall. Oh, that reminds me. On my walk earlier today. Yeah, some dude coming this way, right? And he had his sunglasses on the top of his head. Well, as he got closer, because I'm going this way, right? As he got closer, he put sunglasses down and he tilted his nose up at me. And I went, And boy, that's a haughty spirit right there. That's that subtle form of haughtiness. Exactly. Right. Because chosen ones, we're naturally going to acknowledge, right? We're going to give them a wave. And then they're going to act like they don't see us and turn their nose up at us. I was like, oh, that's a narc. That's a haughty spirit. Start to pick this stuff up a lot quicker, y'all, the further along we get, because we are not going back to sleep. You will pick these things up real quick. And so, yeah, the old version of us, that would have made us feel inadequate, right? Not anymore. Because we know where it's coming from. It's just a reflection of them. And that's a haughty spirit, which tells us that they've got a bit of an issue with some high pride, thinking more highly of themselves than they ought to, and then also thinking more highly of their country than they ought to. It shouldn't be that way. Not supposed to be. But because of the game of narcissism on the world stage, there are a lot of people who they don't even know they've been tricked into accepting the ism mindset, as they remain trauma bonded to whoever's leading that side. So they continue to stay dumbed down because God's wisdom triumphs all, right? God's wisdom triumphs earthly wisdom any day. Okay? God's wisdom. That's why we're big on it here with God's wisdom for the healing and spiritual growth. To get through this stuff with these crazy making narcissists out here. And the chaos and drama that goes with them. Okay? So we learned that that's the other way the enemy tricks them into living in the past. Think about it. Chaos and drama. Recycling old narratives that get a rise out of people. Yeah, keep them living in the past because they're still getting riled up about it. Right? Same old stuff from the past being recycled to get people negative reaction again that always works, and it feeds and fuels the earth's low rumble. I talk about the earth's low rumble on the Patreon channel, where we make more real world connection to the spiritual realm. That's right. So all of that negative vibing stuff, that's low. It's low vibrational. And so chosen one, when we become aware and we're vibing high, we don't match no more. We're no match. We never were anyway. But now we know this. And so we want nothing to do with the low vibrational matrix. Yep, it is. It's always the same old that they recycle on the world stage. So here's a question I have for you all. Could we consider, okay, let's see. Well, we know that the enemy is not a procreator. So in other words, he has no ideas of his own. And I wonder about whether or not this would be a trick of the enemy to keep people living in the past. You remember the movie, The Parent Trap, for those of us who have seen the original one? Yeah. And then there was a remake of it with different actors, like more modern day remake of it. So I wonder, could that be, when you're dealing with movies, doing remakes? I wonder. Because it was a decent movie, right? Cute movie, if you will. And so, yeah, I've seen both of them. But now I wonder, was a remake of that necessary? That's what I'm getting at. But see, we know that the enemy, right, we know the enemy has nothing new. But we also know how the entertainment industry operates a little bit, don't we? Do a remake of a good movie. Because what they'll do is they'll go, hey, you know what, that movie, when it came out, how well it did in the box office. So let's remake that modern day. And so they remake it, but they change the storyline. You see? Right. Same concept. The twin girls and all of that who had never met. Want to get their parents back together. Same concept, but they changed the storyline a little bit, right? Change the storyline a little bit. Push it up. Because they're basing it off of how it performed in the box office. That's why they're doing it. The entertainment industry does it. But I wonder if it could be considered a trick of the enemy. I don't know. I mean, it's like some of me said yeah, but then some of me said no. Like, so the jury's kind of out on that. Right. Okay. Lack of skill to make an original new movie idea. There's some of that when they do the remakes like that. It's different when they do a part 1, part 2, part 3, and so on. That's different. But when they do a complete remake, you know what I'm saying? They use the same concept, maybe a different storyline because make it more modern day. But it does take some skill and creativity to do that. So, but the same concept. I don't know. Because I know that it reminded me of the original one when that second one came out. So could that be where the trick is? I don't know. No. That's an interesting thought. So we'll ponder on that. And if y'all come up with something, even on the replay or what have you, because it may or may not be. I don't know. Coming up with tricks of the enemy that keep people living in the past. And so let's see, we've covered Throwback Thursdays, we've covered high school reunions, we've covered a lot of the things out there that are associated with the school. Okay, we're talking about mainly elementary and high school. because the narcissists typically don't make it past high school mentality. Let that sink in. The narcissists do not make it past high school mentality. This is why that they are the easier one to continue to dumb down through the news and beyond. There is an article, y'all. Hold on a second. I'm going to get it for you. I got it saved on my thing where it says the news dumbs people down. So hold on one second. Thank you for your patience. I'm going to put it in the chat. So it's going to take me a minute, but we've covered that. We've covered the end of year reviews on social media platforms. We've also covered those year ago today messages. Right? Yep. Want to watch out for those. That's the trick of the enemy. Anniversaries. I said we talked about some of this stuff in a previous live, but it was worth bringing back because I had just noticed this. I keep seeing it because we're nearing the end of what? 2023. This is December of 2023, right? So now all of this, I want to bring back the whole year, memories and things like that. Again, it's going to take me a minute to find. Okay. Phew! There we go. Oh, glory be to God. Help me find it real quick this time. I want to be able to click on it, though. There we go. So, because I'm using a different browser, it'll take a second. All right, here we go. It's on the publicdiscourse.com site. So let me go ahead and bring it. It says that we should stay away from the news lest we fall prey to its mania, bullishness, and stupidity. Right? Okay, I said we should read books, difficult books, and be challenged to improve ourselves rather than settle for easy answers. Spot on. And so they also go on to say, a pernicious notion seemed to have settled into the minds of the author's generation when we were little boys and girls. It's now an unquestioned fact that staying informed, staying engaged, and following the news are the obligatory duties of sensible, responsible people. They're not. Exactly. Reading and watching the news isn't just unhelpful or uninstructive. It inhibits real learning, true education, and the rigorous cultivation of serious intellectual curiosity. All right, the author is, let me see, it is by Alan Mendenhall. This was published July 23rd of 2020. Not living in the past. This is good stuff. It is relevant today. So that's the thing. All right, you all, I'm going to put it in the chat for you all to read it because it is absolutely spot on. Now, mind you, I don't recall. All right, there you go. And if I can remember, I'm going to put it in the video description as well because it's a very good article. Okay, how the news makes you dumb. Very well written and very spot on. So that way I don't forget to add it for those on the replay who want to. Well, the live chat replay will do it again, but I'm going to go ahead and put it in there also. All right, so that's a great article. I don't recall if they are a spiritual God believer or not at this particular time because it's been a while since I read the whole thing. But I saved it. Obviously, for a time such as this. See how God works? Okay. It's beautiful. But that's what we've been talking about a lot too, is that how it's not helpful. Because a lot of it's fake anyway. Most of it is. And all they're doing is reporting on staged events where crisis actors are being paid to act out whatever supposedly happened. Yeah, just a quick scan. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's it is something else. And we're not the only one who know this. We're not alone out here. I'm still surprised, though, that those who have also walked away from that game of narcissism still have yet to find this YouTube channel. Yeah, it's amazing, because unless I was lied to, this channel should be reaching more of us, our spiritual warriors for Christ, fellow spiritual warriors for Christ. It should be reaching a lot more. Yep. Well, if you look at the word journalism, what's it got at the end, right? Ism. Now, I want to go ahead and let y'all know something. God says that, yeah, we can use things, the tools of this world, to do His perfect will. Absolutely. And so I just wanted to go ahead and share that with you all. All right. So here is your insight. Okay. So to be mindful. So how do you know when you're not living in the past when you pull up an article from 2020? That's not living in the past, because it's useful information that is still relevant today. Just like how God has me starting to promote our 2021 videos a bit more. Okay, it's because they are relevant to today. When we talk about how narcissism killed individuality, that's one of the very early ones that I did. Okay, and it's true, it's still relevant today. That's the difference. If the information is not relevant to today, like in other words, it's not going to continue to serve a purpose in God's kingdom, then we got to let it go. Okay? That's your difference. But if it's a factual piece of information like that, right there, how we know the news dumbs people down, okay, and it's relevant to today, it's serving a purpose, but now I got to share it with you all. And so you can share it with whom needs the information as well, because it's very important to understand that there are a lot of things out there that are tricks of the enemy. And I'm going to tell y'all something, that P matrix is not as big. No, it's not as big as it wants you to think it is. It just happens to be a part of the game of narcissism. That's all. There's a lot of other stuff going on the world stage too. It's just that if you're glued, think about it. If you are glued to that, and that's all that you're consuming, is anything that has to do with that, right? Then yeah, it's gonna seem like it's huge, right? It's gonna seem like that's it. That's the whole world right there. That's how the narcissists and the sleepers, that's how they view it, because they have the worldview blinders on. So they see that, right? They see that. They don't know it's a game of narcissism. They don't know that there's a bunch of other stuff going on out here. Real stuff that's going on. Like communities, growing communities of spiritual warriors for Christ. This is a real thing that's happening out here. They would not even know. They'll never know that's what's happening on this side, because they're so fixated and trauma bonded to whoever it is that's promising them they're going to lower this. They're going to lower that. They're going to do this. How they're going to handle that. Only that when the time comes, they don't do any of it. But sleepers won't know that. They don't understand the world is 80% deception, 20% legit. They don't know that. They don't know that they get duped into playing themselves. See, chosen one, when God wakes us up, we start to learn, okay. Right? And so I know we are coming close to the 1.5 hour mark. I like to try Okay, I'm going to try to keep these. Let's just chat. I'm going to try to get back to the hour mark, depending, but I want to also like an hour and a half be like the max. Okay, so that we don't. I know. I understand people. Y'all have lives too, and I'm not wanting to get up here and be taking advantage of your time either. Okay. And I do appreciate y'all that stay with us the whole time though, too. And I appreciate y'all that come on in when you have a few minutes. I understand that y'all have other things to do. You may not be able to stay the whole time, and that's okay. You can always catch things on the replay. But we have gone over the hour this go round because that came up. And so I wanted to make sure y'all got that article. And so, okay, thank you, Chris. Says that, yeah, exactly. The views thing you believe is spiritual. Okay, okay. Something does not. Something does not want good people finding this channel and using or joining Consulting for Heightened Awareness. Well, we know that. We know the devil doesn't want people getting heightened awareness. Because we're going to wrap it up anyway. Yep, the lives are like a whole course in themselves. Yeah. So it is spiritual. Absolutely. So there you go. Yep. The enemy does not want people finding Consulting for Heightened Awareness, because I have reached out and had some who offered their services to publish an article about CHA, only to turn around. They wrote a great article for us. They really did. But they didn't want to publish it. That tells me a whole lot right there. And then the same company reached out, but it was a different person like a year later. And I let them know, I'm like, yeah, but he never published it. Like, he said he was going to do it, but he never did. And so this person says, well, how about you send it on over to me? I'll take care of that. They never did. You see, that's the enemy at work. Does not want Consulting. So I'm going to take that article and I'm going to put it somewhere. I don't know where, maybe on the website, something. I'm going to take that article and I'm going to revamp it. I'm going to write my own version. Because this is ridiculous. It really, truly is. I have had people sending me email talking about this YouTube channel and that the video is great. It was on the How the Trauma Faceless ad that I'm now adding to our 5P Promote playlist. Okay. Trying to tell me that because my search engine optimization was 0 out of 100. I don't care. I don't care. They're using the narcissism side of marketing to try and get my finances. No means no. I ain't got it anyway. No. So, no, and God don't care about that stuff. See, that's the thing. God does not care about that stuff. And somebody was talking about, like, I didn't complete the YouTube channel. I don't know. Okay. Whatever that means. No, they never did give me a reason for not publishing. We know why. Because the enemy doesn't want people to heal. So that's it right there in a nutshell. The devil does not want people to heal. That's all that's about. And he wants me to be discouraged, but that's not going to work. Because we come up here and we are still going to keep showing up every day because there are more, y'all. This is for y'all, okay, to get this information and God's spiritual truth, get that trauma healing, to lead by example and let y'all see that, yes, you can. Yes, it is possible. With God, all things are possible. And so we no longer fall for the tricks of the enemy for living in the past or that. And remember something also. The enemy loves to try and trick us into the enemy loves to try and trick us into thinking things that aren't true also about like the platform and then reason behind this or that. So we also want to be careful with that as well. But we do know that you are correct, fellow warrior. What is going on is spiritual. Absolutely. 100%. It's spiritual. Okay, so whoever is praying for our downfall, we declare and decree that that be released and permanently destroyed in Jesus' name. That's right. So that's what we do. We just turn it over to God and we let him take care of it. And that whoever it is that's doing that, it's not going to work. Anyway, remember, no weapon formed against thee shall prosper. And then also, whatever witchcraft they think they're pulling, it don't work on chosen ones. Never forget that. All right? So there you go. I am Michelle Dickey, your host for CHA's Let's Just Chat show, streaming on the YouTube channel, Narcissism and Cognitive Dissonance, where trauma healing and spiritual growth are front and center. Trauma healing and spiritual growth occur with God's wisdom, basic scientific facts, tried and true technique, and more. Here and at CHAAcademyBTBW.com. The link to the Academy is in the video description below for quicker access. Some of y'all may need to copy and paste the link to view what CHAAcademyBTBW.com offers to help you level up your trauma healing and spiritual growth. Sending love and light to all fellow warriors. Thank you for watching, listening, and for your support. Till next time, let's show some gratitude to the Heavenly Father. And you keep being you. In Jesus' name, amen.